Many of us have long known God as our Heavenly Father, who is merciful, loving, and kind. All of these characteristics are true of God. However, there is so much more to God than we can ever understand with our minds. He is beyond our comprehension. To put it bluntly, our minds do not have the capacity to understand the eternal being known as God. He is beyond our comprehension. Society attempts to paint him as some cosmic grandfather that sits on his throne and oozes love. But that's not what the Bible tells us. Our Bible tells us that our God is a consuming fire. Our God is a consuming fire. He's not a cosmic force that sits in the heavenlies with nothing to do. No, our God is a consuming fire. He's not a celestial waiter who waits on you hand and foot. No, he is a consuming fire. He has not lost control. He is the great I am, the Alpha and the Omega, the one who is, was, and will forever be, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the one who started it all and the one who consummated it all. He is the God of consuming fire. And whether you like it or not, or whether you believe it or not, at a point in human history, you will stand before him. In our Bible, the same God who's presented as a merciful Father is also presented as the God of consuming fire. This spiritual understanding will help us to understand how best to relate with God, especially in order for us to not take him for granted. We need to have the fear of the Lord in us. We need to have a reverence and awe towards the Lord. The fear of the Lord is not intended to be abject terror or panic. No, rather, this is a healthy kind of fear to give respect and honor due to God. And I believe that in the days that we're living in, we have lost that wonderful treasure that is the fear of the Lord. The Bible even encourages us to fear him, to have this reverence and awe towards him. Matthew 10 verse 28, and do not fear those who can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. I believe, unfortunately, the church has lost the treasure of the fear of the Lord. And I believe that this is mainly due to the casual depiction of the Lord, the casual description of God. There is absolutely nothing casual about God. There is absolutely nothing casual about him. My friend, you and I cannot stand in such glory. My friend, you and I cannot stand in such presence. My friend, such glory will destroy you. Such glory will consume you. You and I cannot stand in the glory of God. The glory of God will consume us. No one has ever seen God and lived. In Exodus 33, Moses asked to see the face of God, but God would not allow him because he would die. In Exodus 33, Moses asked to see the face of God, but God would not allow him because he would die. This is the man that heard the voice of God in the burning bush. This is the man that was used as God's mouthpiece to lead the children of Israel out of Egyptian captivity. This is the man that turned a stick into a snake. This is the man that turned that snake back into a stick. This is the man that negotiated with kings on the behalf of Yahweh. This is the man that warned Pharaoh of the coming plagues. The Nile River was changed into blood. Frogs came forth, lice came forth, flies came forth, hail and fire came forth, plague after plague came forth, and even the death angel came forth. This is the man that warned Pharaoh of these things. This is the man that was used to separate the Red Sea. He is arguably the greatest leader in the Old Testament. And yet, Moses, in all his right standings, was not qualified to see the face of God. Moses wasn't an average Joe off the street. This was a man that had walked and experienced God. This was a man who talked to God as a friend. And yet, he was not qualified to see the face of God. In verse 22, God gave Moses the condition after much persuasion. Exodus chapter 33, verse 19 to 22. Then he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you. I will not proclaim the name of the Lord before you. I will be gracious to whom I will be, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see my face and live. And the Lord said, here is a place by me, and you shall stand on the rock. So it shall be, while my glory passes by, that I will put you on the cliff of the rock and will cover you with my hand while I pass by. It was not as if God wanted to hide himself from Moses. In fact, not revealing himself to Moses was a mysterious act of love, because Moses would have been consumed if God had appeared to him face to face. If such a righteous man that talked to God as a friend would be consumed by the awesomeness and glory and presence of God, how much more would an unrepentant and rebellious sinner be consumed? Our God is a consuming fire. The Bible gives us record after record after record of how people were terrified when they were visited by angels. For instance, John was terrified when he saw an angel in Revelation 19, verse 9 and 10. This was when John saw an angel. The verse reads, then he said to me, write, blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, see that you do not do that. I am your fellow servant and of your brethren who have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God. For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. The angel had such a presence about him that John the Apostle fell to worship him. He fell to worship him. Yet angels worship God. You can see an angel and live. You can see an angel and even talk to them. But you cannot see God and live. Do you know what this tells me? This tells me that there is no one higher than God. This tells me that there is no one greater than God. No wonder every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. If an angel that fears and quakes at the presence of God appeared so terrific to John, then how terrific is God? You can see an angel with your natural eyes and live. And through the ages of time, many Christians have seen angels and have lived. But we will all need glorified bodies to be able to see God in heaven. There is a power and glory that is unique only to God, the one who sets everything in motion from the beginning of time. Everything that moves is because of him. Lightning flashes at his command. Rainfall comes and goes at his decree. He is completely in control at all times. The CEO of the universe. He is large and in charge. The King of all kings. The Lord of all lords. The ruler and the creator. The truth is that the angels know something that we don't, or something that we are yet to comprehend. the angels know something that we don't realize. They are constantly bowing down in heaven and saying, holy, holy, holy. They bow down and say, holy. Our God is a consuming fire. But to a certain extent, we must have forgotten how great God is. We sometimes even treat prayer as an afterthought or an everyday routine. A little something, a little 2-minute prayer here, a little 2-minute prayer there. Do you know who you are talking to when you pray? You're not talking to a president. You're not talking to a prime minister. You're not talking to a king or a queen. Do you know who you are talking to when you pray? You are talking to the great I am, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the creator of heaven and earth, the one who reached out on nothing and hung the world on nothing. You are talking to the giver of life. There is absolutely no one, there is absolutely nothing that is above him. No being is greater than him, and yet we treat prayer as an afterthought.
I was reading the Word of God, and I came across a striking warning from Moses in the book of Deuteronomy. It really shook me. It really touched me. And I do believe this is something we all need to hear. Although this warning was given to the children of Israel, I think it can be directed to us this year. Because as humans, myself included, I believe that we suffer sometimes from malfunctioning memories and from spiritual amnesia. We forget so quickly the things God has done for us in our lives, and this is something the people of Israel suffered with too. Hence why they received a stark final warning from Moses, and I believe this warning is also relevant to us this day. Beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. We all need to remember the things God has done for us in our lives, because as humans we tend to forget the wonderful things He has done for us in our life. How often do we look back and thank God for the people He has brought in our lives? How often do we look back and thank Him for the doors He has opened in our lives, for the places we have seen in our lives? How often do you go back and thank God for the things He has done for us 5, 10 and 20 years ago? You see, God had done so much for the children of Israel. They had a long history with God that started with their father Abraham, and their relation continued through to that long journey into Egypt and out of Egypt and on to the promise. He showed Him strong unto them. No people experienced God the way they did. They weren't alien to the power of God. Israel was delivered from slavery and at this point was being guided by the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day. God was showing up in even stronger ways than He did to take them out of Egypt. God speaking to Moses out of a burning bush, telling him to go down to Egypt and confront Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go, and God causing a stick to turn it into a snake. God delivered them. God had done so much for them. They had a lot to remember. Pharaoh in his stubbornness refused to listen to Moses, so God fought for His people using nature. The plagues came forth, water turning into blood. The frogs came forth and slept in the beds of Pharaoh and his people. Lice and flies, locusts came forth and took over the lands of Egypt. And God kept warning Pharaoh over and over again, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh remained stubborn. and the pestilence, and the boils, and the hailstorm, and the lightnings flashed, and the thunder roared. The people of Israel had a lot to remember. While all of this was happening, God was protecting His people. The last plague left the households of the Egyptians in mourning, as the death angel flew that night. But it did not go near the dwelling of the Israelites. Yahweh ordered them to put the blood of a slaughtered lamb above their doors to avert the judgment that He would send against Pharaoh and his people. This great event of deliverance was called the Passover, and even today it is still celebrated. Until Pharaoh finally agreed to let them go, but shortly after agreeing to let them go, Pharaoh changed his mind and began to hound them down. And Israel stood on the bank of the Red Sea, hard pressed by Pharaoh's army, and saw the waters turn into walls so they could walk across on dry ground. When they were finally delivered from the Egyptians, they were being fed by the hand of God with manna and quail. If ever a people could testify of the power of God, the children of Israel can. All these miracles Israel experienced, and yet Moses had to warn them not to forget what God has done. How can you forget the Red Sea separating? Can you look back and see the blessing of God charted through your life? We can all identify the supernatural hand of God in our lives as we prayed and He answered. As we prayed and He answered. You can look back in your life and give the testimony God answers prayers. Look at the times in your life when God has made a way for you, when there seemed to be no way. Look at the times when your back was against the wall and all you had to stand on was your faith and the name of Jesus, and God came through for you. Look back in your life when you didn't know how you are going to pay your bills, but bless God made a way for you. Look back in your life when your health deteriorated, but God healed you. Don't forget the things God has done for you.
Thessalonians 5:18. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Jesus Christ concerning you. You open 2 gifts every day, and they are your eyes. The route you always take. Other people take that same route and are involved in accidents. But you go by every day and you are protected. Some things work out for you, but didn't work out for others. People you went to school with have died and are buried, and you are still here, able to see your children, able to see your grandchildren. These are the works of God in your life. Don't take them for granted. Do not forget all His benefits. Are you forgetting what God has done for you? Are you thinking that your challenges are greater than the things that God has done for you? God knows what He is doing. He will never leave you to be all by yourself. He has never done that, and He will not do that. Ask yourself this: am I thanking God enough? Yes. Are you thanking God enough? Some Christians are always asking, and they are never thanking God for the blessings they have. If your thanksgiving is less than your asking, then you are not thanking God enough. What God has given you is greater than what you are asking for, and for this reason, you must always thank Him. You might be wondering, what are the likely dangers of forgetting what the Lord has done. I say, if you forget what God has done, it means you have forgotten about God Himself. This same thing is what pushed the children of Israel into worshiping idols. When Moses went unto the presence of God to get the commandments, the people forgot what God had done for them. They forgot about God completely. They went to Aaron and talked to him about forgetting Moses and God. Exodus 32:1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall be before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. When Aaron heard this, he made a golden calf for them to worship. They forgot about God. What forgetting about the things God has done for you will do to you is push you to something else. The warning for the Israelites is that if they forget the things God has done, they will be pushed to do bad things, and even to worship idols, and God will destroy them. What I am saying is that forgetting about the benefits of God will lead you to destruction. It would be a gradual thing. Many Christians have been destroyed. They put their hands in some ungodly things because they feel God will not do it for them. They have forgotten that God gave them jobs. They have forgotten that God preserved them. He preserved their families. God will destroy people like that. Deuteronomy 6:14-15. Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. I am sure we don't want to push ourselves into things that can destroy us. We don't want to be destroyed. Remembering what the Lord has done for us is the right thing to do. If we forget what He has done, we are not doing the right thing. The repercussion for this is that we might not receive the promises of God until we start to acknowledge the things that He has done for us, no matter how trivial they may seem. We must appreciate it. If we appreciate God, it means we are telling Him that He can do greater things than He has done for us. That is a way to ask God to do more for us. If God sees that you are grateful for the little things He has done, He will give greater things that He has promised. Luke 16:10. He that is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. To be faithful with little things means you appreciate the little thing. That is when God will give you greater things because you have done the right thing. So the danger of forgetting what God has done is that you will not get what God has promised you because you are not doing the right thing. Deuteronomy 6:18. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers. Do you want more blessings in the year 2021? Do you want God to bless you and people will want to serve your God? Do you want to stand out even if there are troubles in the year 2021? Start to appreciate God. Start to remember all He has done for you and never forget His benefits, His love. The children of Israel forgot what God had done for them. They refused to follow the ways of the Lord, and God delivered them unto the hands of the Babylonians. If there is anything we should go after in 2021, first, it should be a heart of thanksgiving. We must not joke with that. It is important for every one of us. Hebrews 12:28. Wherefore, we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. May God bless you. May you find the love to appreciate all that God provides for you and to be thankful.
This must be our prayer. We must not fail to tell people about the source of the things we have. It is the Lord. The Lord is our source. This is not an ancient and obsolete warning. You and I, as recipients of the grace of God, must heed this twofold warning from Moses. Beware. Keep watch over yourself. Do not lose sight of where the heart and mind are. We must keep an eye on our inner faculties while we are enjoying the benefits of being children of God. If we do this, we will not fail to mention that it is God who lavishes us with all the good things. We will come into houses filled with all kinds of good things. So we must always remember, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. James 1 verse 17.